For me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up. Brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage, but I have moved on from that.
What does it take to unravel a marriage that once looked unbreakable after nearly 3 decades? Melinda Gates believed certain boundaries would never be crossed, but behind closed doors, those lines were tested again and again in ways the public never imagined. Whispers of secret meetings and hidden betrayals slowly revealed fractures no one could see from the outside. How does a woman who helped build one of the world's most influential philanthropic empires walk away with billions and a completely new life? This is the story of a powerful split driven by shocking revelations, silent heartbreak, and a search for truth. The hidden line. Crossed. Melinda Gates had a rule, a non-negotiable boundary. She made clear to Bill Gates early in their marriage: no association with Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein was already a convicted sex offender, infamous in social and political circles for his terrible crimes. Melinda viewed him as a danger not just to others, but to the moral foundation of their family. That initial dinner invitation in 2013, when they both walked into Epstein's Manhattan townhouse, set off alarm bells for Melinda immediately. She described Epstein in an interview as evil personified, saying she had literal nightmares afterward. This was not a small concern or a passing discomfort. It cut deeply into the trust Melinda had placed in Bill. She told him firmly afterward, "Do not see that man again," drawing a hard line around her family's values and safety. For years, she believed her husband respected this boundary and that their marriage would stand on this shared agreement. But beneath the surface, things were far from resolved. Unbeknownst to Melinda, Bill Gates continued to meet with Epstein, secretly, repeatedly, and after knowing Melinda's fears. The tension between Melinda's demands and Bill's actions grew in the shadows, creating cracks that would later widen into a fracture no marriage could survive. Several meetings reportedly took place between 2011 and 2014, many in Epstein's New York residence, where Melinda had explicitly forbade Bill from going. This ongoing defiance wasn't just about social visits. It spoke to hidden alliances and decisions made in silence. Melinda's shock only intensified as the public began to learn the details of these encounters. The New York Times report from October 2019 revealed Bill's multiple meetings with Epstein, which destroyed Melinda's remaining beliefs about her husband. The disclosure ended her trust because she had maintained it from the outset, although her faith in him started to weaken. The moment appeared to show her private suffering to the outside world, which led Melinda to understand her future path with certainty. The person she had married and spent her life with turned out to be different from the husband she had trusted. Melinda watched her entire existence break down because her relatives revealed hidden family information during the following weeks. The Epstein connection emerged as the initial public breach, but it marked only the start of a series of disloyalty. Her knowledge about specific limits that were violated created an emotional response that wanted to end their marriage. The complete account that would explain the breaking point would be revealed only after a specific period of time had passed. The relationship established between the two parties showed that Bill had breached both her trust and his marital duty. People need to understand how Melinda's life showed that personal space violations lead to negative results when they happen between family members. The first split in the relationship revealed a persistent pattern of lying and denial that had persisted through multiple years. The emotional impact led to a series of events that resulted in legal battles and financial issues that affected one of the most powerful couples in the world. People needed to understand her boundary setting at first because it showed her inner strength, which others could not see until visible damage occurred. Before the fallout, before betrayal and heartbreak, there was a story that seemed full of promise, and it makes the final unraveling all the more tragic. The origins of a power couple. Bill Gates met Melinda French in 1987 when Microsoft was on the brink of changing everything about how the world used technology. Bill was already a commanding figure in the tech industry at 31, known for his brilliance and intense focus. Melinda, at 23, was a new product manager entering the fast-paced world of Microsoft. Their connection began not with a whirlwind romance, but with a scheduled date. Bill asked her out 2 weeks in advance, treating it like a business meeting. Melinda said no, demanding something more spontaneous, and Bill's quick call later that night sealed their fate. They dated for 6 years, building a relationship amid the rapidly growing empire Bill was shaping and the demanding work at Microsoft. Their wedding in January 1994 was a grand affair held on the Hawaiian island of Lanai. Costing millions, it was so private that helicopters were booked on neighboring islands to prevent aerial photos. With figures like Warren Buffett attending, it was the kind of celebration that seemed to promise a fairy tale. They went on to have 3 children, expanding their family in the following years. Together, Bill and Melinda created the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which grew into one of the world's most influential philanthropic organizations. Their joint mission to fight disease, poverty, and inequality made them a global power couple far beyond the tech sphere. On the surface, they exemplified a partnership built on mutual respect and shared values. Bill was the awkward genius, and Melinda was the steady, guiding hand behind the scenes. The two individuals maintained a continuous presence on magazine covers while delivering speeches at TED conferences and sharing platforms with presidents and prime ministers who helped them reach greater success. The duo presented themselves to the public as a unified team that dedicated their resources to protect the planet from destruction, which created their nerdy, philanthropic identity as environmental defenders. The actual events of their lives existed as a hidden truth behind their exceptional Medina, Washington home. The property displayed luxurious elements together with successful outcomes, yet hidden problems started to emerge throughout the entire estate. The estate spanned 90 acres and included 24 bathrooms, together with a 60-foot swimming pool that featured underwater speakers and a domed library, which looked like a design from a fantasy movie. The marriage troubles were concealed inside those walls because Melinda remained unaware of the personal toll that the marriage brought to both partners. The foundation that had started as a solid base developed into a weak structure that had begun to develop cracks, which became more visible through the passing days. The way their external beauty masks their internal difficulties shows how people often mistake their first impressions. The couple operated at an unattainable level of perfection while they raised billions for international health initiatives, which their work motivated millions of people around the world. The situation followed a pattern of positive development between the couple, but their relationship deteriorated to an unfavorable condition after several consecutive years. The foundation of their collapse derives from their understanding of where they came from. The ideal of a true partnership through shared vision, which the two people promised, collapsed into nothing because their relationship ended. The entire structure, which depended on trust and teamwork, faced its moment of testing, which would lead to its destruction. This backstory makes the shadow cast by Jeffrey Epstein over their relationship all the more heartbreaking and puzzling because it was a betrayal against everything their marriage claimed to be. Epstein's shadow over the marriage. Bill Gates' association with Jeffrey Epstein extended beyond a single uncomfortable dinner. Between 2011 and 2014, Bill reportedly met with Epstein at least 6 times, including visits to Epstein's notorious New York townhouse. These encounters took place even after Melinda had explicitly told Bill never to see Epstein again. On more than one occasion, Bill stayed late into the night at Epstein's residence, blatantly crossing the boundary Melinda had drawn in the sand. The public explanation for these meetings varied. Some insiders suggested Bill believed Epstein could connect him to wealthy donors who might support global health initiatives. Others speculated that Bill was seeking Epstein's assistance to enhance his chances for a Nobel Peace Prize. Whatever the reasoning, it didn't justify ignoring a wife's repeated, serious objections. Melinda has said she was haunted by nightmares after that first dinner with Epstein, a visceral reaction to encountering what she called evil personified. The knowledge that Bill continued to meet with Epstein despite her warnings crushed the trust in their marriage. For 6 years, Melinda had no idea these meetings were continuing. She thought the line she drew had held. When details emerged publicly in October 2019 through the New York Times, Melinda's world and the world's changed overnight. The revelation was not only a breach of trust within a marriage, but a scandal involving a man with a horrific reputation. It cast a long, dark shadow on Bill's judgment and integrity. Far from an isolated incident, Bill's dealings with Epstein were emblematic of a pattern of poor decisions and secrecy. It suggested a side of Gates that the public hadn't seen, the private man willing to risk everything despite serious warnings from his closest partner. The damage to their relationship was profound and irreversible. The Epstein meetings also triggered deeper scrutiny into Bill's behavior, both personally and professionally. They raised uncomfortable questions about power, influence, and ethics at the highest levels. What was seemingly about philanthropy and networking now looked like a web of secrets and betrayals. Melinda's initial nightmares were merely the start of a far more painful journey. As Epstein's shadow grew, so did the cracks in a marriage once believed unbreakable. And what followed would reveal even darker truths hidden beneath the surface. The next revelations would uproot everything Melinda had believed about the man she married and the life they built together. The secret affairs and corporate fallout. While Melinda was still grappling with the shock of Bill's meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, an even more personal revelation surfaced that shook the foundation of their marriage. In 2019, a letter arrived at Microsoft from a female employee claiming she had an intimate relationship with Bill Gates around the year 2000. This was particularly significant because it meant the affair happened early in their marriage, when their son Rory was just an infant. For nearly 2 decades, this secret had been carefully concealed from the public and apparently from Melinda herself. Microsoft's board did not dismiss the letter lightly. An external law firm was hired to investigate the allegations, reflecting how serious and unprecedented the situation was for the company's reputation. The findings were troubling enough that, in March 2020, Bill Gates resigned from Microsoft's board of directors. His official explanation was a desire to focus more on philanthropy, but insiders soon revealed that his departure occurred amid the ongoing investigation. Bill had chosen to leave before the full report was completed. A spokesperson later confirmed the affair had taken place, but described it as having ended amicably. Such a description raised eyebrows, given the imbalance of power. Bill being CEO and the woman his subordinate at the company. This was not an isolated lapse. The New York Times uncovered a pattern of behavior stretching back years. In 2006, Bill reportedly emailed a female Microsoft employee after a presentation, inviting her to dinner and adding, "If this makes you uncomfortable, pretend it never happened." The actions of Bill show a disturbing pattern because he uses his professional authority to pursue women who work with him and then breaks established boundaries after understanding the potential consequences of his behavior. At the Gates Foundation, Bill allegedly made indecent advances to a woman during a work-related cocktail party. The person developed a habit of engaging in inappropriate behavior, which he maintained for more than 30 years, while using his position of authority to shield himself from consequences. Melinda showed her reaction to the discovered information through her powerful response, which also revealed insights about her character. Melinda took 2 steps before saying Bill should respond to those questions when Gayle King asked her about Bill's cheating. The couple's deep marital problems become evident through her actions, which display her determination to protect him from any harm. The defense she did not make for him became silent proof of her actual feelings about everything that needed to be defended. The secret meetings with Epstein and affairs, together with his inappropriate behavior, created a series of betrayals that led to the destruction of their marriage. The public image of a devoted couple building a philanthropic empire slowly unraveled, exposing painful truths beneath. The situation started when Epstein crossed the line, which later developed into multiple disclosures that all charity efforts failed to fix. Bill's personal shortcomings brought about corporate repercussions, which destroyed all the trust he had established at Microsoft, together with all the outside organizations. His resignation marked the moment when his personal wrongdoing started to affect his business activities, which permanently changed people's perception of him. This period of revelations was not just a public unraveling. It triggered Melinda's darkest moments, leading her into emotional and physical turmoil she would later describe in stark detail. Emotional collapse behind mansion walls. Technologically advanced and luxurious homes in America, Melinda Gates was facing a private emotional storm that few people could see. Their 90-acre Medina estate, complete with 24 bathrooms, a 60-foot swimming pool fitted with underwater speakers, and a domed library housing rare manuscripts, stood in stark contrast to what she was experiencing internally. Behind the polished glass and cutting-edge design, Melinda was battling panic attacks so severe she feared she might die. These weren't passing waves of anxiety. They were full physical shutdowns, a racing heart, tightening chest, and the terrifying feeling that she couldn't breathe. She later described these attacks as her body sounding an alarm. On a rational level, she understood that her marriage was coming apart, but emotionally, she hadn't yet accepted the truth. That growing disconnect between logic and feeling widened by the day. Alongside the panic came recurring nightmares, vivid dreams in which the beautiful home around her would collapse, walls crumbling and ceilings caving in, reflecting the breakdown of everything she once believed was stable. In some dreams, her family stood safely at the edge of a cliff while she was the one falling, a haunting symbol of helplessness and loss of control. At her lowest, she recalled lying face down on the carpet, sobbing alone in the vast rooms that once felt like a sanctuary. The woman who spoke alongside world leaders and chaired global initiatives was quietly unraveling in private, mourning not just a relationship, but an entire life she believed in. Even through this turmoil, Melinda maintained a composed public presence. She attended meetings, foundation events, and virtual calls, smiling through responsibilities while carrying a silent grief few could detect. It was a dual existence, calm in public, devastated in private, that demanded constant emotional endurance. She later shared that what she was grieving wasn't simply the end of a marriage, but the death of an ideal. The partnership she had built over decades was gone, along with the trust that once anchored it. Accepting that reality was deeply painful, but unavoidable. In February 2020, just before the pandemic reshaped the world, Melinda told Bill their marriage was over. His reaction was subdued, no raised voices, only quiet sadness. It was the moment everything changed, marking the end of one chapter and the beginning of an uncertain, very public road ahead. Melinda's ordeal was not just about betrayal and heartbreak. It was a journey through grief, survival, and the fight to reclaim her life, and it was only just beginning. The divorce and new beginnings. On May 3, 2021, Bill and Melinda Gates announced their divorce, ending a 27-year marriage that had long symbolized influence, unity, and global impact. That same day, Bill's investment firm transferred $2.4 billion in stock to Melinda, more than the annual GDP of some small nations. And that was only the beginning. What followed was a complex separation involving tens of billions in assets, massive real estate holdings, and leadership of one of the world's most powerful private foundations. Their shared portfolio included farmland across 17 states, the famed Xanadu 2.0 estate in Medina valued at around $178 million, beach properties, and equestrian ranches for their daughter Jennifer. But the most difficult asset to untangle wasn't land or wealth. It was the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The couple tried to maintain their co-chairing duties after their divorce because they had promised to work together professionally after their marriage ended. The couple needed 2 years to test their ability to work together as business partners. Melinda described her experience as emotionally draining because she had to make billion-dollar decisions with someone who broke her trust completely. She left the foundation, which she helped establish in June 2024, after she dedicated $12.5 billion to her personal philanthropic initiatives. Melinda French Gates adopted her maiden name to start building her own independent future, which she would develop through pivotal ventures. The settlement brought Melinda financial security, but she considered it her settlement. The settlement opened up to her the opportunity to reclaim control over her identity, her mission, and her future. She decided to direct her own life after years of being watched by the public and suffering personal losses. The story of Melinda and Bill Gates' marriage and divorce reveals how broken trust can fracture even the most powerful partnerships. What began as a celebrated union ended in betrayal, heartbreak, and a public reckoning that reshaped their lives and legacies. Melinda's journey reflects resilience and the courage to reclaim identity and purpose beyond pain. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the next video now appearing on your screen for more deep dives behind the headline.